It was a warm evening in Awka, the bustling capital of Anambra State, Nigeria. The sun dipped behind the horizon, casting a golden hue across the land. Chukwudi, a 29-year-old architect, leaned against the balcony of his family's home. The scent of jollof rice and fried plantains wafted from his mother's kitchen, but his thoughts were far away. He clutched his phone, scrolling through pictures of a woman who had changed his world, Elena. Elena was a free-spirited photographer from Prague, with striking green eyes and a laugh that echoed like a melody. They had met 6 months earlier during a cultural exchange program in Lagos, where Elena had been documenting Nigerian art and culture. Chukwudi, one of the program's coordinators, had been assigned to show her around. What began as polite conversations about Nigerian traditions soon evolved into long walks, shared meals, and late-night talks under Lagos' neon glow. Now, thousands of miles apart, their love was tested by distance. Elena had returned to Europe, but they spoke every day, sometimes for hours. That evening, as Chukwudi gazed at her latest photo on Instagram, his phone buzzed. It was a video call from her. "Hey, love," she greeted, her voice warm and familiar. She was sitting by a window, snowflakes visible in the background. "Elena," Chukwudi said, his voice soft. "You look beautiful." She laughed. "And you always know what to say." They spoke about their day. Elena had just completed a photography exhibit, and Chukwudi shared updates on a new hotel he was designing in Enugu. Their laughter filled the air, but underneath the joy was an unspoken longing. "I miss you," Elena finally admitted, her voice trembling. "I miss you too," Chukwudi said. "Every single day." There was a pause before she spoke again. "I've been thinking. What if I come to Nigeria again? For a while, this time." Chukwudi's heart leapt. "You mean it?" "Yes. I've looked at flights. I can be there in 2 weeks." The following days were a whirlwind of preparation for Chukwudi. He wanted everything to be perfect for Elena's arrival. His mother, skeptical at first, eventually warmed up to the idea after seeing how much her son cared for Elena. 2 weeks later, Chukwudi waited nervously at the Murtala Muhammad International Airport in Lagos. When Elena finally emerged, her eyes scanned the crowd before landing on him. She ran into his arms, and for a moment, the world disappeared. Their reunion was magical. Chukwudi took her to explore the beauty of Nigeria beyond the bustling city. They visited the serene Oguta Lake, the sacred Idemalai River, and the ancient town of Enarai, the cradle of Igbo civilization. Elena, with her camera in hand, captured every moment, while Chukwudi explained the history and significance of each place. One evening, as they walked through a quiet village near Onitsha, Elena stopped by a baobab tree. The golden light of the setting sun framed her figure as she turned to Chukwudi. "Do you ever think about our future?" she asked. "All the time," he replied. "I dream of a life with you, Elena. But I also know it won't be easy. Our cultures, our families. There's so much to navigate." Elena nodded. "I know. But love is worth fighting for, isn't it?" Chukwudi took her hand. "Yes, it is." The weeks flew by, and soon, it was time for Elena to return to Prague. Their goodbye was heart-wrenching, but they promised to keep their love alive. Months passed, and their relationship deepened despite the distance. They made plans for Chukwudi to visit Europe, where Elena introduced him to her family and shared the stories of her Nigerian adventures. Though her parents were initially hesitant, they were won over by Chukwudi's charm and sincerity. Their love story became a blend of cultures, a fusion of Nigerian tradition and European modernity. They celebrated Igbo festivals together, with Elena donning traditional attire and learning to cook Nigerian dishes. In turn, Chukwudi embraced European customs, exploring Prague's cobblestone streets and learning bits of Czech. After 2 years of long-distance love, Chukwudi proposed to Elena during a visit to the scenic hills of Obudu. It was a simple moment. Just the two of them surrounded by nature, but it was perfect. Their wedding, held in Nigeria, was a vibrant celebration of love and unity. Elena's family flew in from Europe, blending seamlessly with Chukwudi's relatives. The ceremony was a mix of Igbo traditions and Western customs, symbolizing their journey together. As they danced into the night under a canopy of stars, Chukwudi whispered in Elena's ear, "Our love is proof that the world is smaller than we think, and hearts can bridge any distance." And Elena smiled, knowing their story was only just beginning. After their vibrant wedding in Nigeria, Chukwudi and Elena decided to settle into married life with a blend of their two cultures. For the first 6 months, they lived in Awka, surrounded by the lush landscapes of southeastern Nigeria. Elena embraced the community, learning Igbo greetings, joining in local festivities, and becoming friends with the women at the village market. Chukwudi, now managing a successful architectural firm, loved coming home to Elena's experimental Nigerian-European dishes. She had mastered cooking jollof rice but often paired it with Czech dumplings, creating a meal that symbolized their union. One evening, as they sat under the starry sky, Elena brought up a new plan. "Chukwudi," she began, "I've been thinking. I miss my family back in Prague. Maybe it's time for you to experience life there with me for a while." Chukwudi smiled, setting down his glass of palm wine. "I've been waiting for you to say that. I think I'm ready for the next adventure." 2 months later, with their bags packed, they boarded a flight to Prague. As the plane touched down, the chill of the European winter greeted them. Chukwudi shivered but smiled as Elena wrapped a scarf around his neck. "Welcome to my world," she said, her eyes sparkling. Prague was a city of fairy tales. Its Gothic architecture, cobblestone streets, and historic bridges fascinated Chukwudi. Elena's parents welcomed them warmly, hosting a small dinner party to celebrate their arrival. Though there were moments of cultural adjustment, like Chukwudi's preference for spicy food versus the milder Czech dishes, everyone found ways to connect. The couple soon fell into a routine. Elena continued her work as a photographer, often taking Chukwudi along on her assignments. He, in turn, began networking with local architects, fascinated by the blend of modern and classical styles in Prague. One snowy afternoon, as they walked hand in hand across Charles Bridge, Chukwudi stopped. "Elena," he said, looking out over the Vltava River. "Do you ever think about where we'll settle for good?" She tilted her head, thinking. "I don't know. Sometimes I think we'll always be nomads, living between two worlds. But as long as I'm with you, anywhere can be home." Their time in Prague wasn't just about work and family. The couple began traveling across Europe, exploring its rich history and diverse cultures. They marveled at the Eiffel Tower in Paris, wandered through the ruins of Rome, and savored the serene beauty of Switzerland's Alps. In every city, Chukwudi found inspiration for his architectural designs. In Florence, he sketched a modern reinterpretation of Renaissance-style buildings. In Amsterdam, he admired the balance of tradition and innovation, taking notes for future projects in Nigeria. Elena, with her camera always at the ready, captured their journey. Her photo series, titled Love Across Borders, began gaining recognition, featuring images of them blending into the cultures they visited, Chukwudi in a Scottish kilt, Elena learning to drum in an Afro-European festival in Berlin. As idyllic as their life seemed, it wasn't without challenges. Chukwudi occasionally struggled with homesickness, missing the vibrancy of Nigeria, the food, the music, the warmth of his extended family. Elena, in turn, faced moments of doubt about fitting into Nigerian society during their future visits. One evening, during a quiet dinner in their Prague apartment, they had an honest conversation. "Do you ever feel like we're stretching ourselves too thin?" Elena asked. "Between our families, our cultures, our work." Chukwudi reached across the table, taking her hand. "Sometimes, yes. But I think that's what makes us stronger." We are not just building a life for ourselves, we are building a bridge between two worlds. Her eyes softened. I love that. And I love you. After 2 years in Europe, the couple decided to split their time between the two continents. They purchased a home in Lagos, a modern space designed by Chukwudi himself, and kept their apartment in Prague as a base for their European adventures. Elena's photo series turned into a book, which became a bestseller. Chukwudi's architectural firm expanded internationally, with projects in Europe and Africa. Together, they hosted cultural exchange workshops, sharing their story to inspire others to embrace diversity in love and life. One evening, back in Nigeria, they sat on their balcony, watching the sunset. Do you realize how far we've come? Elena asked, resting her head on his shoulder. Chukwudi smiled, wrapping an arm around her. It feels like we've lived a lifetime, but it's only the beginning. Their journey continued, filled with love, challenges, and the unshakable bond they had built together. For Chukwudi and Elena, the world was their home, and their love was the compass guiding them forward.